If you want to catch fish during the winter, you'll need some flies. But how do you know which ones to use? Well, it's pretty simple. You've got to know which bugs are actually available to fish once the snow starts flying. Today we'll cover exactly what flies you need in your box if you want to catch fish, even in the dead of winter. A fish's diet is mainly aquatic insects, bugs like mayflies, caddis, stoneflies, and midges. During spring, summer, and fall, fish usually have a big buffet of choices. They're like that kid in the candy store. They want to try everything. When winter rolls around though, things change. That buffet goes away and a fish's food options diminish drastically. During the winter months, from mid-November to mid-March, here are the food sources available to fish. Midges. These are one of the smallest insects and the only one that will hatch year-round. For example, you can get into a midge hatch in February and be catching fish on dry flies. These are a hugely important part of a fish's diet in every river. Second, we've got scuds and sow bugs. These are present year-round but become a big focus in the winter when aquatic insect activity dies down. Neither of these hatch into adults but live underwater for their entire lives. Next up are worms, or you might hear them called annelids. These are a timeless classic for fish everywhere, kind of like buffalo wings. These are smaller and thinner than earthworms and are present in many rivers. Our fourth main food source is eggs. Some trout spawn in the fall, like browns and brookies. Others, like rainbows and cutthroat, spawn in the spring. The point is, during the colder months of the year, fish are used to seeing eggs in the river. While you should never fish to actively spawning trout, you can fish eggs in rivers to non-spawning fish and do very well for yourself. And last, we've got winter stoneflies. Winter stones, sometimes called black stones, are small, often just a ½ inch or so long. They hatch during the coldest months of the year and crawl around on the banks in snow more than they fly. It's really that simple. Your fly selection can be narrowed down to just a half dozen different bugs. And what's even better is there's no best or worst time to be fishing these flies. Tying on any of these flies during the winter is probably going to produce because there are limited food sources for fish. The only time that you're really going to focus in on a specific fly is if you get into a midge hatch or see some winter stones kicking around. You can get into good dry fly fishing usually when the air temps are above 30 degrees. And during the winter, that warmest part of the day is usually around 1 or 2 p.m. I always have some midge dry flies in my boxes just in case they come off while I'm fishing. Winter stoneflies tend to hatch later in the winter, so it makes sense to have those patterns in your box February through spring. In winter, fish do try to conserve energy, but they still gotta eat. And another sneaky good option is streamers. These offer a big high protein meal that is worth the effort. They can be fished on the strip or even dead drifted under an indicator like a nymph. I prefer fishing white, yellow, or light brown streamers in the winter as I tend to do better with these brighter colors. I'm not particular about the patterns so much as I am putting them into places that are likely to hold a trout. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. Let's look at the fly patterns that imitate all of these winter food sources. For imitating midges, we've got tons of options. Here are some of my favorite nymphs. The zebra midge. I use this in a wide variety of colors and sizes. There might not be a magic fly that works 24/7, 365 days a year, but if there was, it'd be a zebra midge. The demon midge. This offers a very subtle midge presentation when I need it. I've caught some of my biggest fish on this fly. The rainbow warrior. This attractor pattern is super flashy and gets the fish's attention. The RS2. This is a Colorado classic known for fooling discerning picky fish. The WD-40. This fly is super simple but extremely effective. There have been a few slow days where this fly has saved my bacon. And rounding out the nymphs, we've got the Spanish bullet and perdigon. Both of these sink super fast, helping reach fish at the bottom of deeper holes. For midge dry flies, I like to keep it simple, focusing more on size than shape or color. We've got an absolute classic, the Griffith's gnat. You can fish it in smaller sizes to imitate a single midge, or bigger sizes to imitate midge clusters. And then the Matt's midge, also a must-have. I use this when dealing with really picky midge eaters. It's such a good size, shape, and color match to real midges. Next up, we've got our scuds and sow bugs. Because both are so similar in size and shape, I use these patterns to imitate both. First is the scud muffin. This is a bit more flashy, but it's one of my favorite patterns. If I want a more subtle natural pattern, my go-to is the UV sow bug. It sinks fast and is a big fish magnet. The sexy waltz worm is another classic. Its buggy appearance definitely gives off those scud sow bug vibes. Next, let's cover some worm and egg patterns. For worms, we've got two styles. The squirmy worm has great wiggly movement in the water. Fish love them. The downside is they aren't super durable. The San Juan worm, however, might not be as wiggly, but it's gonna hold up for fish after fish after fish. For eggs, I just use one pattern because it's so stinking good, and it's the egg bomber. The biggest problem with most egg patterns is they get caught up in the current and don't sink. With a big tungsten bead, this fly dives into the strike zone and has been a winter fly fishing game changer. Although they aren't as common, you might see some winter stoneflies out and about. To imitate those, you can use smaller stonefly patterns. Pheasant tails, copper johns, hare's ears, prince nymphs, all great options. And if you want to avoid searching for all of these patterns one by one, you got to check out our fly collections. They make it super easy, one pack and you're ready to hit the water. I'll throw a link in the description if you want to check them out. So now you've got your flies picked out, but how do you rig them up and fish them? Can you use the same rigs you use during the summer? Or are there specific ways to rig up your flies for winter fly fishing? That's what we'll cover in the next video. Check it out right here.